Hello again, humans. It is I, Jim the Ape, and today I wanted to talk about a trend that I've noticed in human behavior that frustrates me, honestly. And that is the tendency to value oneself, or more frustratingly, someone else, based on how much, or in some cases how little, sex they have. And I think that most of the time, this kind of behavior is intra-gender as opposed to intergender, meaning that people of the same sex do it to one another more often than people of the opposite sex. For example, if a guy gets together with a bunch of his fellow guy friends, maybe they're all hanging out drinking beer or whatever, he will likely be in conversation with them about his sexual exploits. And if he has a lot of sex with women that group generally finds to be attractive, then he will be praised. He will be celebrated for that, and perhaps even hailed as a hero among the group. But if that guy doesn't have sex, or doesn't have it very often, or has it with women that the group generally finds unattractive, then he will be mocked. He will be insulted. He will be called names. For example, if he has sex with fat women, he'll be called a chubby chaser. If he doesn't have sex at all, he'll be called a virgin or a loser, and basically be insulted in such a way that would pressure him into wanting to go out and have a bunch of sex. And I think that women put similar pressure on each other, but in kind of a different way. Like, if you get a bunch of women together, then there's bound to be some kind of mean girls, I guess, type drama, where one woman will decide that she doesn't like another woman, and woman X will call woman Y a slut or maybe a prude based on whether woman Y has more or less sex than woman X. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not denying that there are women who will make fun of men for being virgins or being man whores. And I'm not denying that there are men that will make fun of women and call them sluts or call them prudes. That happens too, but I think that more often than that, it's someone of the same sex making fun of someone for being either too promiscuous or not promiscuous enough. Now, obviously, there's an evolutionary drive, an evolutionary desire to have sex. It's connected with procreation, after all. And, of course, that evolutionary drive has a powerful effect on people. But at the same time, we know that promiscuity is generally not a terribly good thing. On the one hand, it does increase the chances of passing on your genes to the next generation. But on the other hand, there's a lot of risks that come with it, like sexually transmitted diseases. And there are evolutionary advantages to monogamous pair bonding, especially when it comes to child rearing and the family unit. Like, that dynamic is beneficial towards building a household, and it works. It's worked for thousands of years. But enough about mating traditions, because it just frustrates me that there's this petty, childish pressure to value yourself based on how much or how little you get laid. I mean, you humans and intelligent talking apes like myself are capable of complex cognitive thought, and I would hope that both our species have evolved past this. And I think what it comes down to is that when someone is doing that, when someone is calling their friend a virgin or a loser or something like that for not getting laid enough, I think it's them projecting their own insecurities onto other people. The people who do that the most are the most insecure about their sexuality and about how many people they sleep with. And people who just don't care will not care about others either. If you don't care about how much or how little you get laid, you certainly aren't going to give a shit how much other people get laid. So I think the people who care the most about it and the people who are most insecure about that kind of thing are the ones that are going to project those insecurities on others and put that pressure on them and insult them in such a way as to call them either a virgin or a prude or a slut or a man whore or whatever the case may be. So if you get called one of those things, don't take it too personally, because chances are that person is just projecting their own insecurities onto you. Although, as a brief aside, I would like to say that the word slut gets used, I think, a little too much, and I think that if it should ever be used as an insult, it should be used when someone sleeps around in a dishonest way. Basically, someone who sleeps with a bunch of people and isn't honest with the people they sleep with about how many other people they're sleeping with. Basically, someone who cheats on their significant other, like, a lot. Anyway, I think that the best thing you humans can do for yourselves is to self-actualize. That is to say, value yourself based on your own merits as a person and get to a point where you're happy just with yourself and that you don't need anyone else to validate you. In the sense of you don't need to gain anyone else's approval and you don't need to gain the affections of a woman or a man in order to consider yourself valuable. And I think that's the best message that I could give to you, is to get to a place where you're happy with yourself and you're, I guess I could say, emotionally independent, and you don't need anyone else's approval or validation in order to feel that you are a complete person. Just live your life for yourself, primarily. Do what you want to do. Be who you want to be. And as long as you aren't hurting anyone, that's all right with me. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here. As always, if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. I always appreciate that. If you didn't, feel free to give it a thumbs down. That's your freedom of expression. And as such, you can leave more specific thoughts in the comments section below. And subscribe for more of my content. That's going to do it for me. I'm going to wrap it up there. I'll catch you next time. Stay great, apes.